Good morning and good evening. Welcome back to For the Lonely Nights. I'm Paul Kim, and welcome to our very first episode of 2021, the new year. Um, you know, it seems like last year, 2020 went by really fast. It went by in a blink of an eye. And that's so strange because looking back, so much has happened in that year. And I'm sure at some parts, some points throughout the year, it did feel kind of slow. And it felt like there was so much going on and very overwhelming. But uh, honestly, it hasn't even hit me yet that it's already 2021. It's already a new year. Um, we're a few days into the new year, and like I'm still writing, 2020 on all of my dates, and I'm sure it's gonna take it still a couple more weeks for it to fully adjust again. But yeah, glad to be here. Haven't talked to you guys in a while, for a month actually, and honestly, the last episode that I put out, it was a big episode, and I had more episodes planned for the month of December, especially with Christmas and New Year's and things like that. But I mean, things never work out here on this podcast. If you can, if you haven't noticed already. But we're here, here on 2021, and just ready to just get back into it again. So yeah, I'm super excited to see what this new year has to bring. Super excited to see what God has in store for not only for me, but as my friends around me, we're all getting to that age when we're kind of nearing the end of college, and we're going on to just our own separate paths and plans, and career paths and things like that. Um, it's just something that's been on my heart recently, is that I'm not only excited to see where God leads me, and what God has planned out for me, for my future, and how He will use me, but I get so excited thinking about how God will use all of my friends and all those around me as well. Um, and that's a weird idea, because I feel like these days, especially at this age and this stage in your life, you're all you think about is, you know, shoot, what is my next step? You know, what do I, where do I go from here on out? After I graduate, what do I do? What are my next moves? There's just so much to think about, and your head is just always just so filled and overwhelmed with just a lot of those questions and worries, that you feel like you don't really have the time to think about anything else, or anyone else. But you know, it, maybe it's just because there's not much in my head all the time. But yeah, I mean, more than myself, honestly, I've been super excited to see where everyone else is gonna end up, and where they're gonna go, and things like that once graduation rolls around. So yeah, that's definitely something that I've been looking forward to, and thinking about and praying about a lot. Um, but yeah, um, New Year. Th- you know, Going back a few weeks, a couple weeks, to Christmas and things like that. I know there wasn't an episode then, so I didn't I didn't get to tell you guys what I got to do for Christmas or for New Year's and things. But just to give a little brief, catching up, honestly, like I said in the last episode, Christmas time is, I think, honestly, one of my favorite times of the year, especially the Kim family's favorite time as well. Um, we set up our trees, we set up our lights. It's honestly been very. It started off very well. For Christmas, I went to my cousin's place. They live in La Crescenta. which is, like a 2.5 hour drive from here. We went up, we got to spend a night with them, and you know, these guys, honestly, I really love these guys. I'm not just because our family lives in the U.S. and the only other relative that lives in the U.S. is, my cousins on my dad's side. Everyone else, all of my other relatives, all of my other cousins and aunts and uncles on either side of my family, they all live in Korea. And so we don't really get to see them very often, talk to them very often. So the relationship really isn't there, at least for me. It really isn't there for any of them. Yeah, every 4 or 5 years or so when we do visit Korea, for a month in the summer, you know, it's always like, hey, what's up? How you guys been? Like, it's always smiling faces for sure, and I respect all of them. But if I'm being honest, I don't know a single thing about them. And but these cousins of mine in La Crescenta, they're my little cousins. One is 2 years younger than me. The other is 4 years. But honestly, like we grew up. Me and my sister, we grew up with these guys. Ever since we were kids, we would always see each other during the holidays. At least a few times a week. Not at least a few times a year, a few times a week. Dang, that's way too much, even for me. But yeah, at least a few times a year, like we would see each other, go on trips together, this and that. So we grew up with these little fools, these little jashiks here, and so I really got a lot of love for them. And yeah, especially because the youngest one he's a senior in high school right now, and he's applying for colleges. It's a super stressful time, especially with the pandemic. Um, the area that he lives in right now, he doesn't live near a lot of his friends, and so it's been, I guess it's been a pretty hard on him. A lot of stress with the apps, not being able to see friends, and things like that. They live in the woods too. I swear, dude, there's no data there. There's no like I try to call somebody in their house too. There was no signal. Like I don't know how they live. Like I asked him like, "Yo, do you even play any games? Like, are you allowed to play any games? Does the internet let you?" It doesn't. That's that short answer. Like we tried to play some games there too. It didn't work. So, um, but anyways, yeah, like but seeing these guys again, we had a great time. Spent Christmas Eve and Christmas together. We ate some good food. Our aunt made us, as soon as we got there, our aunt made us this like king crab feast. And dang, like this isn't just your regular king crab. And I worked at boiling crab, so I know hopefully I know a good amount of my seafood and my crabs. But at boiling crab, our regular king crab, it comes out to like 1.3 to 1.5 pounds, right? It's like comes with around 3 to 4 legs, and it's the biggest thing crab we have at boiling crab, but it's not something you'll be surprised about. But these, like my aunt said she got it from Costco, but yo, like these crabs were huge. Like these king crab legs, like it was at least double the size of what you would find at boiling crab. So we ate those, super nice. I think I got food poisoning, but you know, I enjoyed it while I was eating it. Um, and yeah, we ate so much other great stuff just throughout those 2 days. Um, I also, what else happened? Oh yeah, we started playing Overcooked with my sister and my cousins, and dude, Overcooked is actually that game is so stressful. Oh my god. Like we went for a nice Christmas time with family, but once we started getting into Overcooked, like yo, we were yelling at each other, like yo, what the, like curse words flying left and right, like go stand in the corner, like go do the dishes and don't bother me, like yo, there was bad vibes everywhere. But it was I think we had a great time. Honestly, it's a fun game. So yeah. Other than that, my sister came down for around about a week, and she actually recently just went back to Boston a few days ago. So yeah, it was great to spend time with my sister again. I only see her 2 times a year, uh, if that. So always, having her home. It Although we don't really, I feel like at least this time we didn't really do much. We just stayed home. Um, just having her presence here is definitely makes the home seem a little more fuller and warmer. I don't know how to explain it, but I really do enjoy when she is home. But she's back in Boston now, um, and so hopefully she gets readjusted there, and yeah, gets ready for the new school year for her. But that's Christmas, New Year's. We didn't really do anything for New Year's, honestly. I didn't even know. I realized that it was New Year's until like it was one a.m. On New Year's Day, and like my phone. The only reason that I realized it was because my phone was blowing up because everyone was like saying Happy New Year's and like all the group chats and everything. And so that's how I realized it was New Year's. But yeah, 2021. Um, I'm super excited, like I said. Um, but yeah, sorry, my mouth is getting super dry. I haven't done this in a while, as you can tell. But I just took a shower and I just ate dinner. I exercised a little bit, so I'm feeling good. So let's get through it. Um, I think this is also something that um, I've been, that happened during this past month, and I don't really know how far I want to go with this. I didn't really. All I knew was I kind of wanted to share this on this platform for myself, and maybe for a few others who know this part of my life. So I'm probably not going to go into too much detail about it, but mm, it is I think one of the biggest moments of my life so far. So yeah, let's just rip the band-aid off. Let's just go for it. So what I wanted to share was that, like I said, we had a great Christmas. We had this month of December was definitely, we had some good times, and even this whole year, the year of 2020, even though it was a year full of unexpected things, full of just a lot of disappointments, a lot of change of plans, change of pace, um, and with the whole pandemic going on, not being able to have uh, my senior year or even half of my junior year, and I'm a transfer to UCLA. And so this is something my parents always joke about too. It's just like, dang, like you worked your butt off to transfer into UCLA, and you only got to spend a couple few months there at most. Um, yeah, that's true. But despite all of those things, good things came from this year too, like from 2020 as well. So it's such good things. I already shared these in my previous podcast. Even the group of friends that I have right now, we probably wouldn't have gone this close to any of them, if it wasn't for the pandemic and the opportunities that it brought, and I got to got to come home, live with my parents again. And although sometimes it is very stressful, and sometimes it just seems like I have no privacy, and things like that. When else was I ever gonna have this opportunity to live with my parents again? If the pandemic didn't happen, and I stayed at school, moved out and living in LA, even after I graduate, I probably would have still, been moved out and living by myself. Probably would have never really had the opportunity to live with my parents again, but God provided this opportunity once again, even when I myself didn't know that I wanted this or I needed this. It's been definitely a very healing, um, and very refreshing experience. Um, and honestly, it's looking like if I since I'm graduating in like 2 months, um, it's looking like I'm gonna be one of those people who live with the parents, even after they graduate college. For how long, I don't know. Hopefully, I get to move out soon. Hopefully, I find the wifey, provided from God, of course. And I don't know. Who knows? But yeah. So all that to say, 2020 has been a year full of up and downs, and um, honestly, during December, when we finally got into the month of December, I was like, dang, it's already the last month. This year, it kind of flew by, but I'm glad that we're almost over. 2021. People always say like, yo, like, why do people think that as soon as 2021 happens, all the problems and all the things with pandemics and all the things in the government and politics, like they're all gonna go away, like it's some like fresh start? I know it isn't, but it's just, there's just something about starting a new year that just kind of brings a new sense of energy and refreshment. And so, yeah, I was just really looking forward to that. I'm like, dang, we're closing out 2020. It wasn't too bad, as people are saying. Um, but I'm here to say that, unfortunately, um, you know, uh, our our whole family wasn't able to, I guess, make it to the new year. And when I say that, I don't want to give the wrong sense. Like my parents, my sister, myself, we're all fine. But if you guys didn't know already, our family has has a pet. We have a pet rabbit that's been with us for the past 10 years. And his name is Mio. Uh, he's truly been. Um, I honestly didn't realize how big his presence was in my life until this until it's not there anymore. But as you can tell already by the tone of where this is going, on December 14th, sadly, Mio, he passed away. And um, to just give a brief kind of background to how all of this happened. Mio he's been struggling with, he had, ever since last year, he had I'm sorry if, I have a little trouble, talking about this, but ever since last year, he had some problems with his teeth. There was, and then, he had infections in his ears as well, and things like that. And it wasn't anything too serious that, you know, we just brought him to the hospital, the vet, and they checked him out, they gave him some treatment, we gave him some medicine, and, you know, it, it went away. He felt better for some time, and then it would come back kind of, um, and things like that. That kind of went on for like a year. A couple months back, um, he went back in again to get some of his teeth removed because he wasn't, they were out like grown weirdly, and so he couldn't eat properly. So we went to get some of his teeth removed, and they found that he had a very serious infection. It returned and came back even stronger, I guess, in his mouth and in his ears. And so the doctor there, she told us that, like, yo, like, to kind of try to treat this fully, he's gonna have to go through surgery. But Mio, he's 10 years old. Most bunnies don't even live to be that long, and so, he kind of barely made it through even the teeth treatment thing. They put him on anesthesia, but he barely woke up because, of his old age. And so surgery really wasn't an option for us. And yeah, like we got the medicine and all of these things to be able to, treat him, but going into December, you know, we noticed that he just stopped eating, and he felt great before that too, literally up until the month of December. He was running around having a great time. I saw a video, I have so many videos of him just like attacking, like always clinging onto our legs whenever we're walking by, like playing with us. He would eat constantly, like 24/7. He would always be chowing down. We would, make fun of him for being such a fatty and all these things. Like he felt great. He looked great. And then all of a sudden, one day he would just out of nowhere, he would just stop eating. And, he stopped eating for a couple days. And at that point, we're just like, yo, something is definitely wrong. And so we took him to the vet, and, pretty much the infection just got to the point where it was just, you know, yeah, it was just real bad, I guess. And like it spread into like some parts of his skull, and because of that, it was like swelling up his skull on the inside. It was like pushing his eyes out, so like his eyes were like pushed out of his skull. Like he just looked really bad. And they it was the same as always. Surgery really wasn't an option then. They gave us a bunch of fluids and all of these things. We had to give him shots every couple hours. We had to give him some medicine, antibiotics, things like that. Literally, we were taking care of him like he was, like a patient in the hospital, And once he got, not even a day in, not even 24 hours after he got back from the vet, he couldn't even stand anymore. He just became so wobbly, and then he just fell. And that was the last time he walked. He couldn't even walk. So he couldn't even stand up by himself. So for the next couple days, he would just be laying down in his bed, and he couldn't walk. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't even move. All he can do was, struggle to breathe, breath by breath, and we could hear it too. Hear him struggling so hard, so much, and all of this just happened like in a flash, in a matter of a few days, in a matter of a week, pretty much. From such a healthy looking, like jumping around and having a good time, and in a week, he can't move. He's just on death's door. But, our family in those 2-3 days that he was in that state, we never left his side. We would literally take turns just being next to him, because, in case anything did happen, because sometimes he would try to move and he would fall out of his bed and he would be upside down, but he doesn't have the strength to pull himself back up again. And like things like that would happen, so someone always need to be constantly watching him. We wouldn't sleep throughout the night. We would stay up all night just next to him, just watching him, just being with him, and it. I don't know, man. I can't speak for anyone else, but at least for me, it was. I think I was just kind of just denying, the reality, just saying like, oh, this too is gonna pass. In a couple weeks, by next week he's gonna be backing up and running again. It was definitely hard for sure though, and yeah, 2-3 days like that, and one morning, I was with them. I stayed up with them until like 5-6 a.m. And then my dad, he came home, and he's like, "Go to sleep. I'll watch him now." So I shouldn't have gone to sleep. I really didn't want to go to sleep either, but I was just so exhausted. So I'm just like, you know what? It's fine if I sleep for a few hours, and so I went to sleep. Next thing I wake up to is my mom, yelling at my dad and I. Like, she was panicking. She's like, yo, like, Mio's not breathing. Um, that's what I woke up to, and I ran, and you know, it was it wasn't even like 5-10 minutes before that moment he passed away. And I'm sorry, like I've been talking about this for the past like 15 minutes, huh? But um, but yeah, dude, it was um, it was very difficult. Because I think, because you guys might think, to any outsider, it's like, yo, it's just a rabbit, you know. Um, maybe if it was a dog, or maybe it was if it was a cat, you know. But it's just a rabbit. I that's what I thought too. At first, like 10 years ago when we first got Mio, I was like, yo, it's a rabbit. Like, what can we even do with a rabbit? But 10 years, man, 10 years is a long time. Um, I pretty much grew up with him. He's been here when I was going through middle school, going through high school, going through college. Almost finishing college now. All the things that have happened in between. Mio was always there. And he always brought so much joy, and always, that's the thing, like I don't remember a time where Mio brought anything other than smiles to our faces. Just him just being himself and just lounging around just in the middle of the day, even that just made us smile and laugh so much. And he's I think he's honestly one of a kind when it comes to rabbits as well. You would never find another guy like him. Like, I could go on and on about all the quirky things he does. Like, I swear, he's a dog dressed as a rabbit. This fool's the laziest, but also the calmest and the kindest. He's the gentlest rabbit you'll ever see. And all around, um, he was our family. And um, I think it's definitely one of the bigger losses in my life that I've ever faced. And I think that the worst part was not even when that happened, not even the moment he passed away. It's the moments that came after. Um, it didn't hit as hard right then. It hit hard like the day after everything. Because that day at least I was, I guess still in shock. We were crying, of course. And we couldn't just leave his body there. So, like, after an hour or so of just being with him, just being with his body and crying it out and things like that, we brought him, we did all that, pretty much the aftermath stuff, brought his body for it to get, cremated and things like that. And the drive back, after leaving his body, to the people, and then driving back, me and my parents, yo, I almost cried I almost joined Mio right there. Because I was driving back and I couldn't see a thing because I was crying so, like, there were so many tears in my eyes. Like, holy, I almost crashed him and almost had all three of us cremated too with him. I swear. But yeah, I mean, like, that drive back, that's when I experienced the biggest heartbreak, you know, and to it, and I think the one other thing that really broke me, that came from from Mio passing away, is, I mean, my mom's crying, but she's usually an emotional person, so and obviously my sister, my mom called her and told her the news and things like that, and it definitely broke my heart, it's hearing my sister, and because my sister probably, she probably cherished Mio the most out of our family, Um, I swear, you know, I'm certain that more than half the times that my sister comes, visits, our family here in California, she only comes for Mio. But yeah, but I think other than those two, I think what hit me hardest was how my dad reacted to this. And this guy, my dad's a lot of things. But I've emotional, maybe, yeah, but I rarely ever see certain emotions from him. And I've honestly never seen my dad cry in the 21 years that I've lived. Um, that's one of the things that I don't remember ever seeing my dad cry. Um, I know I've heard one time of my dad crying when he and my mom were dropping my sister off at the airport or something. But I wasn't there, so I didn't see it. I only heard of the legend of him crying. So it didn't really count. But yeah, but he after Mio passed, my dad was just because Mio was my dad's best friend. Honestly, my parents don't really have many friends here in the U.S. And my dad would always go to work. He always works graveyard shifts, so he would come 5 in the morning while the rest of us are asleep. And Mio would be the only one that would run to the door and greet him every single time. And my dad would always, cherish Mio so much, always give him snacks and just everything. My dad would do everything for this guy. He was his best friend, and I'm sure it hit my dad, hardest. He was just there holding Mio, Mio's body, and he was, he shed, a couple tears. But it was the night after everything. He went back. He had to go to work, so he went to work, and I couldn't sleep. Obviously, the night after, I was just up. I was laying in bed, um, and it must have been 5 o'clock in the morning already, because I heard my dad come in from work, and you know, as soon as he comes in and sees that nobody's there to greet him, like that Mio's not there to greet him, he starts crying. I started hearing like sniffles, and he goes into the bathroom, and turns on the shower, and so that he wouldn't wake any of us up. But we live in a pretty thin-walled place, I heard, and I could just hear him in the bathroom just wailing. Um, and I don't know, man. That just hearing that, just hearing how brokenhearted he was, I think that definitely broke my heart too. And yeah, but despite that, um, just even looking back, you know, Mio taught me so much, even after, um, after his time here was over. He's still teaching me things about life, and keeping people close, and time and all these things. And yeah, it, I thought I was over it by now, but you know, I think I just try not to think about him too much, or because I know if when I do, it's just it's not gonna be a good, it's not gonna be, good times, or what I'm trying to say, but I try to avoid thinking about him. But yeah, um, I remember the night after, I was just praying. I wasn't even praying to God at that point. I was just talking to Mio. And I was like, yo, Mio. Like, basically, I said, like, hey, buddy, like, I'm sorry that we couldn't um, do a lot of things for you. We should have done more for you, because we could have done more. But I'm sorry that we were so selfish. That you know, if only you could talk, if only can you talk. I'm sure you would have a lot to say, but we weren't paying enough attention. Um, we didn't know a lot of things, and we could have done more, and maybe you would still be here with us celebrating Christmas and this New Year. But it. I guess God really wanted to meet you, and so um, I really hope that you're not too sad, that you won't get to see us for a little bit, but um, it's a nice place up there. Um, you know, I'm God. God has so many snacks for you. Carrots, yogurt bites, even tortilla chips. You name it, He's got it all, and you don't have to worry about you know getting fat or getting cavities or whatever it is up there. You could eat as much snacks as you want. You could run around as much as you want. You know, I'm sure God's pets, you know, He pets a lot better than we do. Although I do have a very special technique of petting Mio that I've mastered over the years. And so, yeah, um, as much as it hurts that you're not here with us anymore, um, I'm glad that you don't have to go through all that pain, and you don't have to struggle through anymore. And now you don't have to worry about anything. You can just be healthy and full of energy again, and just do whatever you want. And so, we'll miss you a lot, bud. Always. And so just, hope you're looking down from time to time to check up on what the rest of the family's doing. I'll make sure to live a life that I can just be super proud of when I finally meet you again and tell you all about it. And we'll just wait a little longer, and we'll meet you soon. We'll all see you in heaven one day. So make a lot of new friends. Just run around, eat a lot, and yeah, love you, buddy. And so that's kind of what I said. That was my thing, little message to him. And yeah. I'm sorry, it's been like 30 minutes I've been talking about this. But and just one other thing though that I also want to kind of talk about regarding Mio. I mean, that's really all I'll say, regarding everything that's happened with him and Mio. Like I'll definitely talk about Mio again in the future, because he's my family, But just for now, the only other thing, is just while all this was going on, I did not know, like, I didn't know what to do in regards to breaking the news to a couple of my friends. And, because my friends, some of my friends, they know about Mio. So, and a couple of them, they really, wanted to meet him. They really wanted to, they were always so excited when Mio would pop out in one of the Zoom calls. Always so excited when Mio was brought up in our conversations, They really want to meet him. and I told them that they would one day. Um, so I don't really know how to break the news to them, so I didn't. um, but those friends, they listen to this podcast, so I guess this is how I officially broke the news to them. But um, for you guys, if you guys are listening to this, I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys, earlier, because I know you guys brought up Mio these past couple of weeks, here and there. You're like, because you didn't know anything that was happening, and like, don't feel bad or anything, that you brought him up or anything, like you opened up a wound, like nah, that's never the case, and I'm sorry you guys can't meet him physically anymore. I do have a lot of pictures and videos of him though, so I can send you guys those. But I'm just saying, Mio was the softest thing you'll ever feel on this planet Earth. And so you guys missing out big time. You guys should have came to San Diego when you had the chance. But yeah, that's the other thing that was on my mind. But other than that, yeah, that's gonna be it for that. That took so much longer than I kind of wanted to, but it's Mio, man. I love this fool to death. So, Mio, I hope this guy's listening to my podcast too, up in heaven, wherever he is, and yeah. And I also kind of wanted to mention other things. I don't know if there's time for it today, so maybe I'll hold off on it. But I mean, this week I have to mention this though. This week, yo. So if you guys don't know already, if you guys couldn't tell by my previous podcast and things, too, one of my most favorite things in this world, besides Mio, is One Piece, of course. And this past week, One Piece came out with its 1,000th chapter. 1,000 chapters, man. Dang. That's a huge milestone. And so I read it, and oh my, I won't say anything. I won't spoil anything, because I've been wanting to talk about One Piece for a long time on this podcast, like all the different things, like the devil fruits and which characters I like and things like that. Go full weeb mode, but the only thing though is because some of my friends who listen to this podcast, they're going through One Piece right now, and so they're still in the beginning stages, and I don't want to spoil anything for them because this is a once in a lifetime adventure, once in a lifetime journey. And so yeah, I'm just gonna hold off until maybe later, then I could talk about One Piece. But just wanted to put that out there. Yo, 1,000 chapters, that's amazing. Hopefully to another 1,000 more. I doubt it, but yeah, And one last thing also before I close off this episode of this podcast, I actually, in the beginning of, or how the last podcast, I debuted my other song, Your Hands, Your Hand, on my other channel, FTLN Music. And around the same time that I wrote that song, I actually wrote another song as well. And that, my Your Hand, that was a serious song, like I said, that was like my prayer to God. But this other song, this is just totally jokes, like it was just totally just a meme song, that I wrote because I didn't want to study. I just wrote this song in 2 hours, made it in 2 hours, and yeah, I forgot about it though for a while, up until this week. I remembered I never uploaded it, and it's still sitting there in my computer. And as cringe worthy and as as stupid as it is, I think I'm still kind of pretty proud of it, to be honest. Not gonna lie. I think it's very clever, lyrically geniusly lyrically written song. So, um, it's called Cake with You. I I uploaded it on FTLN Music, I think yesterday, a couple days back, and yeah, if you guys haven't listened to it, go ahead and listen to it. I won't play it on the end of this podcast right now because I don't think it fits the mood with this podcast talking about Mio and everything, and ending with this meme song. But if you guys have time, go ahead to my other channel. There's the link will be in the description to go listen to this song. I did hella research for this song, for this joke song, and so yeah, Cake with You. But other than that, I think that's it. As always, I'm gonna leave off with actually today's gonna be a chapter. It'll be a short chapter though. It's arguably one of the most well-known chapters in the Bible. Psalm 23. I finally came across this in my Bible reading plan that I've been you know been doing this past year. And so and this is just always such a empowering chapter. So let me read this for you. It's only 6 verses, but Psalm 23, a Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. So thank you once again for joining us for another episode of this podcast series. I totally forgot to put a little break in the middle of this one for my sponsored ads, but I'll just put it at the end or something. But thank you guys once again. It's a new year, guys. Make your New Year's resolutions. Let's start off strong. Start off strong for us, for those around us, and for the Lord. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. So until then, have a great week, and as always, all glory to God.